Hey, what's up everyone? Hey, it was so good to see you last Sunday. You all did so well with your different hats and hair and costumes. Oh, it was so much fun. I loved handing out the packs and seeing you again and watching you have your photos taken. Thanks for really getting into it. I hope you enjoyed it, because I really did. We have a couple of entries for our colouring competition based on the verse in Isaiah 41 verse 13. For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. Here are those pictures now. Well done everyone who sent a picture in. I've chosen Dania as the winner. I love how your picture shows God's power and that one of the ways that God helps us is through other people. I also like the detail in the people that you drew. You can even see the tears in the lady's eyes. Great work. Today I want us to focus on the fact that our God reigns. He reigns over difficult situations. He reigns over powerful rulers, and he reigns forever and ever. Daniel, one of our group heroes, shows this really well. So we're going to have a look at his story now. Remember how we saw last term that although David was a good king, he made mistakes and sinned against God. Well, as the years went on, a handful of kings who ruled Israel were faithful to God, but most of them disobeyed him, leading the whole nation away from God. So God sent prophets to warn them that unless they turned back to him, bad things would happen. Unfortunately, the people of Israel and their kings ignored God's many warnings, so he allowed the Babylonians to invade the land and to take the city of Jerusalem, removing sacred objects from the temple of God and taking them to Babylon. This was about 400 years after King David. Among those living in Jerusalem at this time was a young man called Daniel. The soldiers also took the leaders and the most educated Jews, as well as skilled craftsmen, to work for King Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon, leaving only the poor behind in Jerusalem. Daniel and his three friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were among those taken to Babylon. Our story today takes place when Daniel was an old man, after he had lived in the city of Babylon for many years. I encourage you to look at the other two stories about Daniel and his friends that I've mentioned in the email, as well as the movie clip, which gives you a good overall of Daniel and his life. Daniel was a special helper to the king. He always worked hard to do his job well. He wanted to please the king. But more importantly, he wanted to please God with his good work. 3 times a day, in the morning, afternoon, and night, Daniel talked with God, facing his homeland of Jerusalem. A new and powerful king called Darius was now in charge of the country. Darius saw how good Daniel's work was. He was pleased with Daniel and became his friend. One day he made an important announcement. Daniel works so hard that he will be in charge of the whole country, he said. He will be my prime minister. Daniel was honoured. He worked just as hard in his new job, but there was trouble to come. Some of the other important men were very jealous. It's not fair, they cried. Why should Daniel be in charge? Why should he have the most important job? Then those jealous men started to plot. and to plan. "Let's find a way to get rid of Daniel," they muttered. "We'll watch what he does. He's sure to do something wrong, and when he does, we'll tell the king." The men watched Daniel's every move, but try as they might, they could not find one wrong thing. "Oh, this is no good," they cried. "He is too honest and reliable. Unless we find something to do with the god that he worships." The jealous men worked out a horrible trick. Then they went to see the king and bowed down low before him. "Your Majesty," they said, "you are the most wonderful and powerful king. We think you should make a new law. For 30 days, no one should pray to anyone but you. Any person who prays to someone else should be thrown into the den of lions." "Oh, what a wonderful idea!" exclaimed the king. He was delighted. He felt he was the most important person in the world. He forgot that his friend Daniel prayed to God 3 times a day. And he forgot that once he made a law, not even he could change it. "I will make that law immediately," he said. And he did. Daniel's enemies knew all they had to do was to wait. Would Daniel obey the king's law, or would he pray to God? The jealous men did not have long to wait. Daniel loved God so much that he could not stop talking with him. He trusted God to look after him. He asked God to help him. He knelt down to pray by his open window, not just once, but 3 times a day. The wicked men sneaked to the window. They saw what Daniel was doing. "We've got him," they cried. "He's broken the law. Now he's in for trouble." They hurried to see the king. "We found Daniel praying to God and not you," they sneered. "You must throw him in the lions," they shouted. "That's the law." Suddenly the king realized how silly he had been. His friend Daniel would be thrown to the hungry lions, and he couldn't do a thing about it. The guards dragged Daniel away, and the king called out to him, "I hope your God saves you from the lions." The guards threw Daniel into a pit of hungry, roaring lions, and they blocked the entrance with a huge stone. The king went back to the palace. He couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. He tossed and he turned and he paced the floor, thinking and worrying about Daniel. As soon as it was morning, he rushed to the lion's den. "Daniel! Daniel! Are you still alive?" he called. "Has your God saved you?" He held his breath, waiting for an answer. "I am alive," Daniel said. "God sent an angel to shut the mouths of the lions. I haven't even been scratched." The king was overjoyed. He ordered his servants to get Daniel out of the lion's den at once. The king then commanded those who had accused Daniel to be arrested and thrown into the pit filled with lions. Before they had even reached the ground, the hungry lions pounced on them, breaking all their bones. King Darius wrote to the people of every nation, "I command that everyone should fear and respect Daniel's God. He is a living God, and he will rule forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed, and his power will never come to an end. He rescues and performs miracles. He saved Daniel from being killed by the lions." King Darius's statement about God is our new memory verse. He is the living God, the one who lives forever. His power and his kingdom will never end. He rescues people and sets them free by working great miracles. Daniel chapter 6, verses 26 and 27. Daniel faced monumental changes in his life. He had a loss of freedom. He had a change of language, a change of culture, a change of name, a change of king, a loss of family, a new home. The list goes on and on. And yet we saw that in all these changes, Daniel put his trust in God and clung fast to the one person who did not change. And that was God. He demonstrated his trust by continuing to obey God, even if it meant losing his life. And through Daniel's trust in God, the king came to know who God is too. The living, powerful, faithful God who rescues people, sets them free, and does great miracles. That's our God too. That's our God. Let me finish by praying for you. God, I pray for each person listening right now, each adult and each child, that they will know you in the way that Daniel did, that they would desire a close relationship with you and spend time with you in prayer each day, and they will learn to trust and obey you. And even though everything around us is changing and uncertain, you are the God who never changes. You never stop loving us, and you are faithful. Help us to remember who you are. Amen. Okay, that's it for now. Don't forget to look at those other stories and the video clips that I've emailed home. And there's another colouring opportunity for you. If you want to draw a picture of today's story, I will choose one of them to be the new collector card for this series. Okay, bye for now.